This is the Velotric T1 ST Plus, a sleek, fitness-focused road bike that is designed to give you the most bang for the buck if you're looking for a bike to exercise or commute with. Its budget price, high-end features, and impressive specs make it potentially a very compelling buy, but in this video, we're going to put that to the test and see if it's worth spending your money on it. Let's start now with the unboxing experience. Now, this is a pretty sizable box. However, it is very light, like the bike itself, and from what I understand, it should be mostly put together out of the box. So that's a nice change, because one of my least favorite parts of electric bikes in general is how long it takes to put some of these bikes together. Okay, I'm gonna try and leave all the packaging on and pull it out here so that you can see exactly how it comes packaged. Okay, that was easy. I usually have to cut open the bottom of these boxes and kind of slide them out awkwardly when they're heavier bikes, but this was super easy. They've got Velotric's usual care package, got all the tools and your manuals, and they've got the pedals in here. They've got reflectors if you want to stick those on, or if you're required by law to have those on. Kickstand, and obviously the charger. So Velotric is positioning this as kind of a fitness bike. They've gone with a torque sensor so that you don't have the motor assisting you as much as you would on a cadence sensor. You've got these more narrow wheels. You've got just kind of the look and the styling of a bike that you would ride in place of like a fixie or a gravel bike or something like that, for those people who want to get out and ride, but want the assistance of the motor. It's really nice to see that they have the handlebars installed already. That's usually an annoying part of putting a bike together, but none of that. We will have to throw this front wheel on, but that's pretty, I don't think I've ever seen a bike other than folding bikes that the front wheel comes installed on. I really like this style of bike because it's a very practical alternative to regular biking. You're not fully replacing your exercise with a big hub motor that pulls you along and that you don't have to do any effort with. And don't get me wrong, there are some really fun e-bikes, and if you're buying an e-bike for strictly the speed and the fun of it, then they have bikes like that. But that's not what this is for. This is intended to replace a regular bike as something that you ride for exercise. And then obviously with its ridiculous quoted range of 70 miles, this should be a really great commuter bike as well if you kind of want a bike that you need to pedal and put a little effort in, but you don't want to sweat as much as you would otherwise with a regular bike. So as they kindly tag for you, it is UL certified and it works with Apple Find My. So you can track it down if someone steals it, or if you, I don't know, lock it somewhere and you forget where it is. That is impressively sleek. I mean, that's the battery right there. You can barely tell that it's electric. And this rear motor is really small as well. And generally, it's just really nice to unpackage something that kind of sits in a more budget range, but it still feels super high quality. And Velotric always does a really good job of that, of making you feel like you spent your money well. So now all I got is the pedals here. So basically all you have to do for this bike is front wheel, kickstand, adjust your handlebars, install your pedals, and you're ready to ride. Obviously after you charge it. As I've done with other bikes on this channel, I've installed these redshift pedals that will detect which way the pedal is facing and put an extra brake light on each pedal in the back, and then add a little bit extra light in the front for nighttime riding. So if you're planning on doing regular nighttime riding, these are really great. The T1 ST Plus is, by design, a fairly simple, straightforward bike. Its incredibly low weight of 40 pounds makes it easy to move around and control, and as you saw, makes it easy to unbox and set up. The 27.5-inch wheels are that perfect balance of size, weight, and ride cushioning. The narrow 1.5-inch wide tires keep the bike looking sleek and minimize resistance and drag to maximize your range. Comes in two sizes based on your height. This is the large size for riders 5'6" and up. Both sizes support riders up to 330 pounds. The 36-volt 9.8 amp-hour battery gets a claimed range of 70 miles, which I'll cover a little bit more in the performance section. I really like how sleek and integrated this battery is, and how as a whole this bike is committed to providing as close of an experience to a regular bike as possible, while throwing in a bit of mild electric assistance. You also get neatly managed cables with these clips, internally routed cables, and front through axle for an even cleaner look. That theme stays consistent with the low-profile 350-watt motor, which provides a max of 600 watts and 40 newton meters of torque. I'll touch on acceleration and ride feel more in the performance section, but this bike is clearly designed for fitness and a natural riding experience over providing tons of power. The torque sensor is yet another indicator of that choice. This means that the bike will detect how hard you are pedaling and apply your desired amount of assistance rather than applying a flat amount of power no matter how hard you pedal, like a cadence sensor would do. It has a standard 8-speed Shimano Altus drivetrain, and the 8-speed offers a good range of gearing, which is important for a bike of this style to have. The shifting is fairly consistent and smooth with minimal clunkiness or gear skips. You also get hydraulic disc brakes from Tektro and 160mm rotors, making the stopping power of this bike far exceed what is necessary and is great to see at this price. The cockpit is made up of 660mm wide handlebars with an adjustable stem if you want to tilt the bars up and back towards you a little more. You also get locking grips with palm rests, aluminum brake levers, a front 60 lux headlight, basic 8-speed trigger shifter, and a basic 1.8-inch display. The display is pretty crisp and has 3 buttons to cycle through riding modes and the displayed info. Okay, let's take a closer look at this display here. You get 5 riding modes, 3, 4, 5. You obviously get your speed, your battery level. You get some variable information here that you can cycle through. And then you can hold this plus button for 2 seconds to turn on the front headlight. And then if you hold the plus and minus button at the same time, you go into the advanced menu, and this is how you change your riding mode. So out of the box, it comes set to the trail mode, which is like the middle riding mode. And then you have boost, and you have eco, and I will compare these 3 riding modes once I jump on the bike. Then you can set your speed limit. I've already gone in here and set it to 28, but it comes at 20 out of the box. You can set your screen brightness. This comes out of the box at 1. I've bumped it up to 3, but it goes all the way up to 5, but 3 seems to be like a good sweet spot. It shouldn't affect your battery life that much, but it might have a small effect to have it on at the maximum brightness all the time. And then you can set your power off time, you can set up Find My, you can set the units between kilometers and miles. This is to connect to the app, and then a couple other options there. I really like that this isn't some sort of complicated P setting menu that you have to like refer to the manual to set all the P settings. I also like that you don't need to use the app in order to change all these settings. For people who like that option, it is available, but I'm not one of those people. I like being able to control every aspect of the bike from the display itself. This bike is UL certified and IPX6 rated. Let's jump on the bike now and talk performance and ride quality. Okay, we are out on the bike now. You can see the bike is quite aggressive. This is a very like traditional bike position where you're kind of really leaned over these handlebars. You know, you've got your skinny wheels. So this very much feels like riding a gravel bike or a road bike even. Obviously without suspension, you are feeling pretty much every crack and bump. I have these tires on the low end of their PSI range. They're 50 to 80 PSI, and I have them at 50, which is about 15 PSI higher than most e-bikes. Now, if you are wanting a bit of cushioning for your ride, I like to buy a suspensioned seat post. This one is from Redshift. We'll have the link down below in the description. But this just adds a few inches of cushion on your butt when you're riding, and it helps with those bigger bumps. If you're a commuter, I think this is particularly helpful, but even for those that use this for exercise and maybe have a path that goes over lots of bumps or sidewalk cracks or something, I think this is a great alternative to buying a bike with, you know, full suspension. You don't need to just grab a seat post. Noise-wise, you can hear that it's not really making any noise. There's a little bit of brake rub, but that's just because I haven't ridden this bike a ton yet, and so the brakes just need to bending a little. But other than that, there is like no motor noise. They've really gone for a stealth approach with this bike. Okay, let's run through the riding modes. I have it in the trail mode, which is the middle power mode right now, and this is the mode it comes in out of the box. And then there's 5 riding modes for each power mode. So we're in the middle power mode, start in riding mode 1, and this is probably your most natural riding mode. This is also going to give you a ton of range. Obviously, eco mode, riding mode 1 will give you the most range, and that's what the 70-mile range that they quote was tested in. So they say 70 miles of range in the lowest riding mode, and we will test that out, but let's go through these real quick. Let's move up to 2 here. Okay, a little bump in speed. You can definitely feel there's a difference, but not a huge one. 3. Yeah, almost no difference between 2 and 3 that I can tell. Oh, maybe a little. Mode 4. Oh yeah, you can feel that bump. Wow, the bumps are really, really small. You know, they're not super noticeable, but there is enough of a difference where you would want to, you know, kind of fine tune the way the bike feels to ride. Now let's go up into 5. And 5, this is starting to feel a little bit more like an e-bike experience, but you do have to pedal, you know, you are going to have to pedal and shift, but you can feel that motor kick in a little bit more powerfully. Okay, let's put it into eco mode and see how much more sluggish it feels. Okay, eco mode 1, starting in a pretty low gear. Okay, yeah, that's about what you would expect a normal bike to feel like. I assume that's what they're going for. You're definitely going to have to be a lot more aware of what gear you're in. It's not as forgiving, whereas that trail mode is a lot more forgiving with the gear you're in. Okay, let's go into mode 2 now. Wow, okay, there's no discernible difference between mode 1 and mode 2. Let's go to 3. Oh man, maybe a little bit. Maybe it'd be more noticeable if I went down to a lower gear here. I mean, maybe a little bit. Let's see, 4. Honestly, feels almost identical. Let's see. These have got to be just very tiny, like wattage bumps that you're getting in each riding mode, because they do not feel any different. Whereas the trail mode, you could feel the difference in each mode. So I'd say if you're going to be riding in eco mode, probably any of those, you know, maybe if you play around with it more and fine tune it, you'd be able to find one that like really works for you. But I would say if you're going to be in eco mode, just throw it in the lowest setting, maximize your range. Otherwise, if you want a smoother riding experience, then go up to that trail mode. So now let's test out the boost mode. Okay, it's gonna be interesting going from the lowest eco mode to boost mode. Okay, honestly, in mode 1, very similar to the higher trail modes, which makes sense, but let's bump it up to 2 here. I don't know, man, that's feeling very similar to the trail modes. Okay, there we go. Okay, it felt like boost mode 3 is where we saw, okay, yeah, that definitely feels like you're getting a little bit more power once you get to that boost mode 3. Let's go 4. About the same. And now 5. So this is the fastest that this can go. I am going a little uphill. Let's see if we can get it up to the highest gear here without getting killed by a car. Yeah, I mean, even in the highest boost mode, it's no walk in the park. You're gonna get a workout. You really need to tell it that you want to go. My legs are burning, man. Yeah, they said fitness bike. It's definitely a fitness bike. But the nice part is that you're traveling at speeds much higher than you would putting in the same amount of effort on a regular bike. But you definitely are getting a workout still, holy moly. So I think the biggest benefit of the boost mode and the higher modes is having a larger margin for error on the gear you're in. But you still are gonna be getting a workout. Me personally, I think I did like the trail modes the most. They feel like the best balance of range to power. I don't feel like I'm, you know, sucking down battery juice too fast. But I still am getting, you know, the right amount of assistance. I do have to say, this is one of the best tuned torque sensors I've tested in a long time. It really responds to torque, and it doesn't have any weird like cliffs. You know, sometimes torque sensors, like you'll slow down your feet a little bit and it'll go, oh, you don't want as much power, and the power will drop off a cliff, and all of a sudden you'll find yourself like super bogged down because it doesn't want to give you any power. But this is really responsive. It's really impressive for the price. So let's pivot over to some other riding thoughts here. I do think I am a bit on the upper end of the size limit here. I basically have my seat post as far up as it goes, almost. I think if you were maybe 1 or 2 inches taller than me, you could get away with it. I'm 6'1" for reference. But if you're taller than that or bigger than that, you might want to consider going with either something with a larger seat post or going for something with larger wheels and a little bit bigger overall bike. These grips feel good. I personally don't like too much texture like this on grips because you can see you start getting that like imprinted on your hand, which is not great. Kind of hurts, especially with this riding position where you're kind of leaned over the handlebars. They're comfortable enough, and you can always switch it out for your favorite grips. The width of the handlebars feels really good. You know, it's not a particularly wide set of handlebars, but it's not narrow. Very comfortable position. It definitely feels like it was thought about. The brakes, as I mentioned, are great. They're definitely overkill for this bike. Love to see it. Extra safety, just a little bit extra, you know, peace of mind. The seat feels really decent. Again, that's something that can be switched out easily. And I think if you're someone who bikes a lot and are pivoting to an electric bike like this, you'll likely already have preferences. You'll likely already have grips and seats that you like. So swapping these out, you won't feel like you're taking off valuable parts of the bike. Overall, I would say that's the thing that sticks with me the most here, is that the value. I mean, if you go and you buy a regular bike, bikes, even basic ones like this, cost thousands of dollars. And if you went to go buy a bike like this with similar components that's not electric, it would not surprise me to pay the same amount that this bike costs, which is crazy that you can get an electric bike for the same price as a regular bike. E-bikes are fun, and this strikes that balance of being fun and quick, but also giving you that exercise. It's not taking away that fitness aspect, and you'll be able to cover huge amounts of ground with this as compared to putting in the same amount of effort that you would with another bike. I saw a study comparing electric bikes to bikes in terms of fitness, and they found that people who used this style of bike, like electric fitness bikes, actually would often get a better workout because they were going longer distances and they would get fatigued less. So, is this a recommendation from me? Yes, absolutely. This is 100% a bike that I would like in my regular rotation of e-bikes. I think this is a great option for doing exactly what I've been talking about. Going out, getting some exercise, but not killing yourself, and also having that option to dial in the riding mode that you want to give you the workout that you want without needing to be inside on a fitness bike. You can get out and you can get around, and I think it is a fantastic bike to do that. So Big recommendation from me. You can find the link to this bike and any discount codes we have down below in the description. Thanks for riding along with me, and I will see you in the next one.